April 21st, call meeting order of the Finance Committee. We ended our last meeting with, we were down to Article 22. If you wanted to waive the reading of the article. Basically talking about Community Preservation Fund revenues. Expenses, debt service, etc. You want to go over that, or you want to just?
I'd like to point out that every one of those line items is a $10,000 increase over last year's warrant article pertaining to the same issue.
Am I in the wrong article?
Article 22.
CP.
I'm off. I got the old version. Oh, shoot. Figured this would happen. Okay, I'll find it. I didn't think this looked right, and I said, this is the whole thing, so I'll just,
Want to take a quick peek?
Yeah.
which ones are included?
So every one of those have gone up $10,000 from last year.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it in
We
here.
didn't have any
Question I had-
explanation of that.
The question I had with some of this, and I don't even know if we can get the answer in time, but there's a few different things we're spending money on, and we haven't really seen, the books haven't really been opened up to us to see, what has been done in the past with these administrative expenses. I know they always come up with a figure, but it doesn't really say where it's been spent or not spent. I don't believe we've been given any of that, or VC Park's books,
Did you request that while you were?
as to where,
No, I'll request all of it. So we got VC Park.
VC Park,
Yeah.
there's a few of these things that have come up. I'm curious where the books are at with VC Park
And where the books are for CPA fund.
for CPA.
Administrative.
Yes, the how this is all being spent, what it's being spent on.
Yep.
I just thought that, I don't recall that being shown to us recently, especially where there's that much of an increase
Yeah.
on that article.
Let's see what happened to why this was moved.
Just wanna make sure it's properly spent in the right
Yeah.
categories, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, 'cause you.
Where it's just open like that is, for me, I like to see like lines that are saying, this is what we spent it on for the year,
Yeah.
how much was left over last year,
Right, how much is still in there? Because there is some left in there from prior years. I don't.
what direction it's going in,
Yeah.
Because we had some articles also that had been passed in the past, and obviously we voted on some of those already, that the money hadn't been spent. I'm just wondering if the books are being kept right,
Yeah, accurate.
You know what I mean? If you were gonna spend $30,000 on something that wasn't spent,
Yeah.
is everything being lined up right? Are we still counting all that money that's in that account properly or not? That's why I wanted to just see it.
Maybe we could have somebody from Community Preservation speak to that issue on town floor. I don't think we're gonna have anything else between now and then, are we?
Probably not.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
So I move that we vote unfavorable, pending our questions being answered.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
And I have this is a copy I took online.
Mhm.
I took this offline,
Okay.
and it has the selectmen's votes.
Yes, we got that. Well, we got a portion of them because some of them
Right,
tabled.
but this is my Article 23,
Oh,
and here it's Article 22,
which means.
and here it says they recommended favorable action, but it doesn't on yours.
Oh no, that was favorable action.
Yeah, that shows favorable action.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, so I got an earlier edition. Oh, unanimous, oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay, so that was the one I was
favorable,
working off before. So this must
Yeah,
have been an
you're-
older version, okay.
No,
doesn't
but you're
matter.
probably off by one because they split that capital thing, so you should be at, that would make sense, you're at 23 while we're at 22.
Right.
Did they split it?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, well, we had that last time, didn't we?
We had the question of whether
Right,
it was
and I-
gonna get split or not.
I had
that's right.
emailed her
Yeah.
what our differences were in Article 7, and she had asked specifically questions pertaining to our line items that varied, but I also said, please split the one pertaining to capital projects. I'm
It,
glad that
it
she
is
did.
split?
It is split.
Yeah.
Yay.
he
It
has
is
time.
split now?
Yeah.
I did also get an email on, was it the water department? Talking about there's a category on there,
Yeah, we got it.
the finance board recommends, did everybody get that? On, about Article 7?
Yes, and she had
And
said,
and she said she was just following something that's been done the past 2 times.
but this is what it looked like. That's finance board, and it doesn't have every line item listed out.
The one that's on the website has $0 amounts in there.
This has for the superintendent's salary, the office manager's salary, the laborer's wages, and that's it.
In the past,
Yep,
yeah.
Oh, it must have been one way different maybe.
maybe. I don't know.
But that's what I got an email, that has been the standard
Yeah.
style in the past. So,
My copy isn't split out.
Well, it was split between finance and cash, I guess, but
Oh,
not
yeah,
each.
wait, yes it is, yes it is, never mind. Forget it, yes,
All
it's
right.
split out.
so
Yep.
there's a new
My mistake.
copy of this now?
Yeah,
What's
it's just,
changed?
yeah, it just has one more article. It splits this Article 10,
Yeah,
into-
it's 10 and 11.
tax, and then the 2 borrowings are one.
So this is written out right? This way?
Yeah,
There's
Okay.
the borrowing one, there's 11 on the new version,
Oh, okay,
alright, and the other
So the
one's,
numbers
the other
have
one's
changed.
10, which is, yeah,
yeah,
that's what it was.
okay.
Okay.
makes sense why you were one-off. so-
Yeah, yeah, I knew it had to be something, I just, because I was pretty sure I printed this after.
Yeah.
So unfavorable action?
Yes.
All in favor, say of unfavorable?
Aye.
Article 22?
Aye.
Aye? Tongue twister. Article 23. There's a transfer of $8,000 for commission operating costs. Like I said, am I gonna be told this is something that's online, or is this something we actually, were we given anything to it to show why this had to happen?
Let me see if I have-
Not that I recall.
No,
This
I
is
don't.
for next year, you know, I mean,
Why isn't it in the budget?
is this a transfer for, oh, it does say it.
From fees collected by the commission to the.
Commission
it's-
operating costs.
It seems to me this has been done, but I don't know, again, I feel,
Is it in here? Let me see. Oh, the other one.
I just don't know why.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? This is just an article that's there, but I just don't know the reason
yeah,
for
is it like the chapter 90 funding, it goes in one way,
Then it
then
goes
it gets
automatically, yeah.
moved over?
oh, it's going from a revenue
I
source.
could ask a couple of questions. If Denise, is Denise in with the selectmen tonight?
I
Yeah,
don't-
she's in there.
She is?
She is?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so maybe we can,
So
Get a
that
list
might
of-
be 2 different things we could ask the question of, that she might have the answer for.
Mhm.
CPA administrative expenses,
Why they go up.
and why all the other numbers went up, yeah.
Mhm.
So I was pretty sure some of that's based on percentages of totals, but,
It's interesting how it's always in nice even tens of thousands.
yeah. It was just minimums that are supposed to be spent in those areas, and then, yeah, Article 23, why, I guess.
Should we wanna take a vote on that now, or you want me to find out the information first?
If you can find out now, it would just save us effort later, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright, so I'll move
They
forward
should
with
be,
the other
they
stuff.
should be adjourning at 7:15 according to their agenda.
okay. So
Oh, really?
I looked at the posting this afternoon, this morning,
What time did they get there?
6.
so-
I was gonna come, and then I said, they don't want us there, so. Did I speak loud enough?
Oh, I got a phone call today asking if we were coming today, if we could come, if we could stick our heads in there. So, I don't know.
Well,
If
why don't you
they're
check
in,
right
it's
now and
okay.
see, if they haven't adjourned, maybe we can stick our heads in it now.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's just an
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, if they wanna go through it, we just haven't gone through it yet, so.
I mean, we don't have that much more.
Yeah, we
Most of
don't-
these articles are very large, a lot of writing,
a lot
and
of
Well,
writing.
not much decision
We
Well,
making.
23, we'll just leave, we'll
Leave
hold
as a
that for a
question
minute.
mark.
Yeah.
We'll ask the question
don't
and
have
then we'll
an
go back to it.
I don't have an Article 24. Mine skips from 23 to 25. I
You
just
know,
have-
mine does too.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's see what happens in the newer version, you
20
don't have a 4?
No. I don't have 24, but
Okay,
25.
my 24 is the one in question, the 8,000 transfer,
Okay.
okay, and then 25 is the bylaw changes for the wetlands.
Bless
Okay,
you.
God bless you.
I'm gonna move to not read this 4-page article.
Right.
I've already read it, if you wanna know anything. My major issue is that we went from a permitting on up to a $250,000 project of a 0 cost to $7,500. So that alone, that's a single family, that's a single home,
Yeah.
250,000. It's not a developer, it's not a project,
Yeah.
and to have that kind of cost is just absurd.
Yeah. So, if you do, is there any minimum threshold on this that you can see that if you do say your fence over, you bound to pay this, or I guess that's the maximum fee, but there's no minimum.
There's other fees associated, this is for like a building project.
Gotcha.
I
So it'd
mean,
have to be
You know,
of substantial.
But, you know, that, I don't wanna be the Mr. Negative here, but depending on who has the authority,
Mhm.
I mean, conservation, to say, oh, no, you have to have our people come in and make sure you're in compliance, and that's gonna cost you $7,500 to remove your porch from your house.
Right. And it could, the job could be less than that $7,500
Oh, yeah,
to begin with.
could be a $300 job,
Right.
could be something you do yourself.
Now, when something ends up being a maximum,
Right.
is
That's,
that a judgment call? They could go anywhere with that, right?
it could go
is
up
that-
to that. It must be, I would assume, some sort of hourly or something, or per day.
It's just a fee.
But
It's
it was
just a-
zero before, right? What was the charge in the
Well,
past?
Up to 250,000, no fee. 250 to 5 was 2,500.
To
Yeah,
replace
it's right
the
above it, the
paragraph.
chart right
Yeah,
above
I
it.
got it, yeah.
So they could say, well, oh, it would never be that much. Well, then why do they put it in there?
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, when you put a max in there, I assume that,
every one of them is leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
they all went up 7,500. Yeah,
Pretty
I
much.
didn't even, no, pretty much,
All the way.
exactly.
No, the other two went up. The bottom two,
No, they all went up 7,500.
250 to 500, 500 to a mil, went up 7,500.
Not short change.
Oh, and then it goes over to the other page. Gotcha. So I'm gonna move for unfavorable action on that.
I'll second that.
All on unfavorable action, say aye.
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 See, they didn't even ask us. We're not even listed here.
Oh, we're listed on this one still.
We're not here. Just
Not
planning
that
and,
one?
just planning and selectmen. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one again. Oh, please forgive me.
Oh,
my
you
goodness.
talking? Are you looking at marijuana?
Yeah, no, I'm
maybe?
looking at the next page.
You know, the next one, Article
Yeah, we do
25,
have it, we do have it, yeah.
that's the one that's just planning board and board of selectmen.
They just want associate members. Okay.
So we don't have anything to say about it.
Then we
Yeah.
have the medical marijuana, which I don't think has anything to do with us either.
I have read it, and I think it's to set us up so that we can have the most restrictive possibility. It's kinda like the porn shop, bylaws that were passed a few years ago. You know, you don't have the right to deny somebody to open a store unless you have bylaws,
Right,
Right.
so I think that's what this is, it seems that way to me.
Gotcha.
and everything else is stop sign, right lane, it's all motor vehicle stuff.
Yeah, so
Nothing to do with us.
marijuana, we don't have our name on that
No,
either.
it's planning
No.
board.
Uh,
Then the next one's library trustees, and that's really,
Oh, we got those. Yeah.
The stop signs, we don't, you know, I just don't understand why we have to pass bylaws to do that, or pass these legislation. So somebody in town hall can say, we don't like section 1213, the one way. Main Street, SB at Groveland Street, Elm Park, whatever SB is. Anybody know what that is?
Southbound?
Oh, southbound, very good. Southbound, Main Street, one way. Been one way for as long as I lived in Groveland.
Maybe they never had the law to back it up.
Okay. But it's fine with me, I just
Yeah.
find it
Sometimes there's stuff that,
strange.
I know a lot of cities and towns sometimes throw up a sign. And then find out they never wrote a law for it. And then it really can create an issue down the road.
Yeah, down the road where the cars are going both ways.
Or it ends up with the dead body in the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Alright, so something about a new library trustee bylaw.
That doesn't have our name on it either.
Okay.
But we had tabled 5 from last week, starting with Article 2.
Well, Article 2 had no numbers.
That's
Okay, so did we just finish everything?
We
Yeah.
did,
Yes.
other than the 5 that we had tabled from before.
Okay.
So 2 had no numbers, I believe 2 has numbers now though.
You have
Okay.
the refreshed version?
Did you get the appendix?
Yes.
Okay. For the capital planning monies? Okay. Alright. So I guess, yeah, and what was 2 again? I can't remember the number on it.
The chapter.
Chapter 90 monies were blanked out in
Yeah.
our version.
And that was Article 2 of
The regular meeting.
regular meeting, right?
I think we were good on that.
$320,364 is on my number 2 for the Chapter 90 money. 320,364. So, I move favorable action.
Second.
All favorable action, say aye.
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 And there was none others that we tabled or put off?
We had-
There's 4 others.
Okay.
Okay, question did Article 6, and then that was the Finance Board recommends on that, but then what the question was, we've gone back and forth, they have a water board, right? That makes that determination, what they wanna do.
So the figures on ours,
This is what we had.
superintendent's salaries, 6 and 7, right?
Yeah, so we had 63.
63,066, yeah.
Yep.
And how about on the sewer?
26,967.
Yeah, same as on this
Same.
one. So they didn't put the recommended changes at the Board of Selectmen, and they didn't vote on it. It's not on here as a vote.
Support
No.
the 2.5% as they did with the fire chief, recommending.
Right, but this article doesn't have them having voted on it,
Gotcha.
so maybe they're voting on it tonight, or maybe they're just gonna wait until town meeting and see what we say.
Can I make a motion that we just do 2% raises for the superintendent?
I don't think we have the authority to do that, but I may be wrong.
That's why we tabled it, because we had a question regarding that component.
Denise, what do you?
All right, hold for Denise.
I think we can recommend it, but the water department has power. Did they sign a contract with him already and gave it to him?
Probably.
Yeah.
So
It's not
does-
according to their bylaws. It's a personnel issue that is overseen by, well, Denise is working to change the bylaw or the way that that particular position is handled from a personnel point of view.
But as it is now,
They said that, let's see. I have that in the minutes, because I typed that directly from what they were saying.
okay. So where does it leave us?
Do you know?
What do the current bylaws say?
Let me see if I can get them. Oh, I don't have Kathleen's Wi-Fi.
Do you think, that knowing that Denise knows we have a meeting, do you think she'd leave that and come over here? I mean, or come over when she's done? I mean, I just don't wanna have everybody leave and then go, oh, by the way, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we can go,
Oh, okay, so why don't we do this?
if you want.
So
Alright,
that's
so-
Article
Just
6,
go over
that's
that.
Article 6 and 7.
Yeah,
Article 9, we didn't take a vote either, cause we
No
didn't,
money.
those blanked out numbers.
Oh, which one is this one now?
Water
Article
enterprise.
9.
So this is my article,
Your Article 9?
is it water? No.
Yeah, to see if the town will vote to transfer XXX from.
$50,000 from fiscal year 2014 water enterprise retained earnings. In other words, their savings,
Mhm.
for the purpose of funding to replace water mains.
I'm gonna vote favorable, move favorable action on that.
I'll second that.
Favorable action, I'll say aye.
Aye.
I don't know why they waited until now, but
That one
who
was-
knows?
that
When
one
was that?
awful.
That's probably because they just found out what the estimated free cash is. Remember we got that from her? And that included monies for the water department.
Gotcha.
And that was 2014 monies.
Okay, so Article 10, is that the taxation?
That's the taxed one for these items.
Okay, total.
So
It's like
that is
97.
spaced out in there in our.
Yeah, is there a vote on the ballot, an explanation of vote on the ballot, taxation slash borrowing, is what we talked about, right?
There isn't. So that would be the new Article 11, which talks about the borrowing, okay?
And there's no.
And the
ballot.
reason there's no vote, it's not debt exclusion. That's why there's no vote, no ballot question. So the 910,000 is just being put on the books by the Board of Selectmen.
Mhm. And we're gonna have to scrape up $100,000 somehow next year.
You're after, because we're re-scraping up about $250 per average household in January because of the farm we bought. Or shall I say, the leveled off gravel pit we bought. But it was a busing property.
$500 for some of us.
Right, 250 for the average house,
Mm.
that's valued at 300 and something thousand.
Mm.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm saying next year in our budget, we're gonna have to find $100,000 on top of that money,
That's right,
so,
all this money that we haven't,
that we don't have.
that we don't have. But we were told by Denise that she feels that it's more important to just keep borrowing money. So this will go onto the tax rolls as an ongoing debt. And then basically when this is paid off, we just borrow more for something else. And we don't need any authority to do that. You know, we don't have to go to ballot.
Mm.
I think it's disingenuous on the part of the selectmen to do it this way. What they're afraid of is though, they're just afraid that it'll get voted down.
Yeah.
But it could get voted down on town floor when somebody on the finance committee decides that I need to speak to the issue. Because I think people need to know this.
And there's the potential that next year we'll need an override to basically compensate for it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Sure.
really don't see how we're gonna scrape up $100,000 between,
It shifts $100,000 onto.
And we've
yeah,
used,
expenses,
And
with no
we-
revenue.
and we've used up our
Or they'll take it
saved
from
up
overlay.
monies by the overlay and by the insurance overlay. Because that's how the people going forward have chosen to spend the money in town.
And there won't be any fluff from the secret revolving account.
We're starting off next year with, what, about 100 and, even though it's stated that we're budgeting 165 for snow and ice removal, take out the snowplows expense, the lease
Right.
payment,
$140.
so we're down to $140 before we even have a bad winter. Now, we've gone over that 165 a little bit almost every year. It's a
Mm.
rare year we don't go over. I mean, can you imagine what would have happened if it had continued to snow? Like it normally does in March, early March, late February? Oh my God, we hardly had anything after the big one, the last big one.
Mm.
So there's that one. So I just, for a point of information, I would speak to this. But I mean, I'd vote against it just for the purpose of saying that we feel the taxpayers deserve the right to vote on the ballot on this. I don't wanna cause anybody else grief in trying to decide what they wanna do, but I would just do that for that very purpose. Cause they're gonna ask us if we did vote unfavorable, why? And to me, that's the reason. Neither approach is illegal, but one is very deceptive, I feel.
No, and if we're gonna have to
So,
come in with
like-
an override, it might as well be a debt exclusion, cause it's gonna be the same amount of money at the end of the day.
That's right, and then we can do it right away. It won't get kicked down the road. What we're doing is kicking our debt down the road because we can,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's happening. The cost of the plow for the sidewalks, push the debt down the road. Deficit spending our snow and ice removal. Yeah, before it even happens. I mean, we just, and we don't have really any money to draw on anymore. We just don't. So that really concerns me. That's the part that.
There's no cushion.
There's no cushion, and we're kind of, I think, the selectmen are deceiving the population, the voters.
Cause we really can't afford it,
And
basically.
a lot of the people who don't go to town meetings, shame on them, I guess, but they don't, or they can't, they would vote differently in an election if it was on the ballot. So, I don't know.
What was the other money? There was other money too that's gonna be getting kicked forward. We're filling the hole this year, but wasn't it like 165?
It was 60
$1,000.
grand more that we took out of the assessor's overlay account than we put in.
You know, when we added that additional money to insurance, because of the new employees coming on,
Yeah.
that account was already padded for that. That was already, had been in there for several years, in case there were changes, in case there was additions, in case there were things that happened. And that was in there. So that's why she only increased it, what, 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever, 5,000. Not a conservative way of doing it, like it had been done. And that would allow us to have some extra funds.
Mm-hmm.
But if everything goes as it is right now, those 2 new employees will be laid off next year. I don't think there's any other way the town can do it. I also have some information on next year's school budget, 2017. We're gonna get hit again. We also, and I don't think it's reflected here, I gotta go back and look. Did she increase the Whittier budget? I mean, I hate to jump around, but it's all
No.
related to the same stuff.
No.
Public Works, Education. Whittier vocab. Okay, 907 to 933, okay? The school department found out that Groveland has 25 students coming in next year as freshmen, this budget, and only 12 are graduating. 13 new students, we're looking at $150,000 additional monies.
To Whittier?
Yep, now maybe that doesn't hit us until the following year, I don't know how that works.
135, is that what you said?
About 150, there's 13 more students coming in
I
this
think
spring,
it's-
this fall.
I think it's the following years, which
Yeah,
somebody
this
was
probably
saying,
is, but, so there's monies for the following year,
another 100 grand that we need to fund.
another 100 grand. 250 that's going on the rolls for the property in January.
That's why they should have taken the loan out for this.
Yeah.
But if they did the loan, they would have had a vote.
That's right.
I don't understand why they wouldn't have taken the loan out.
So all we're doing is we're just voting basically to cover the interest this year. So we can buy this stuff. And she figured out how to put it into the budget, which, I just think down the road, I was told that our school budget probably would have an increase somewhere in the neighborhood of, if everything's static, about 250,000 increase, okay? But because it isn't, we'll be looking at $400,000 additional for Pentucket. Now, maybe things will change a little bit by then, but they've pretty much been given an assurance that the next year there's no additional state money coming.
Well, the state funding is gonna
Right, so that
change.
means if their budget goes up at all, it all has to come out of the towns, all the increase.
That would put us at 8.4 million.
So, I mean, we're looking at huge. Denise needs to look into our maximum payment. You know, there's a minimum funding for schools in regional districts, and that gets for all districts, but the state has set a minimum funding, so a town can't just keep cutting the schools. You know, they put that in some time ago. But there's also a maximum, and few years ago, we were darn close to the maximum here in Groveland. So that may happen too, and Groveland could challenge the school's budget. I don't know how close we are anymore. I don't know how that works now, but that was another issue that was almost enacted if the school budget had come in at a little bit more than it did. Greg would have gone in and challenged the budget.
It's complicated just figuring out what we're supposed to pay in the first place.
Oh, it is.
It's not,
It's not, it's a moving target. You know, it's based on our perceived capital income for the town per capita. Also, it's based on our property assessment, and it's based on a number of students. And, you know, we're the only town that's had increased students. So, you know, and that's a year behind as well.
Mhm.
The enrollment thing is a year behind. It's as of October of the prior fiscal year. And that's why I never have students dropped off my rolls, even if they're no longer in the building, until after October 1st. Hey, where did Linda go? Oh, just keep her on there for now, the paperwork and stuff. So we got a lot of money going forward, and I just think that you know,
that's why I get concerned about stuff when I say we gotta look forward to what's coming up. Because there's so many, like I said, I mean, our biggest new high school at this point. I mean, it's just, it's coming.
Right.
You know, and you have to look at that, and that's why I get a little crazy about that gravel pit we bought.
yeah, I agree with you.
And it's just, and I still haven't got I guess I'm gonna have to come in and ask for all the executive minutes to find out my answer why we did what we did with that, because that thing we got is
Did-
meaningless.
No, it did.
It did nothing
Right.
for me. So, that's the tough part. And that's what concerns me. We're doing all this other stuff, and you have a lot of valid points, is all these other things we're spending money on. But we know what's coming down the road. If you can forecast that, you can save us the misery later. That's why we couldn't vote for some of these things. That's why, you know,
Right.
because if you saw that, you would say, we can't afford to do it.
I mean, we're gonna go in override to pay the loan payments for the busing property. Again, we already authorized, so that's done. Are we gonna go and do, an override just to pay for the interest payments and loan payments when they come on board? Cause all we have right now, we're paying the interest out of existing operating costs. I don't know. I'm not, you know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. The Board of Selectmen had every opportunity to withdraw these. We don't have that opportunity to put them on, or not put them on.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, it's not our,
Did they push through all the, my understanding, all they have to have is like 10 signatures, and they can put it, did they,
anybody check the signatures?
I don't know if they did or they didn't.
I haven't asked the clerk.
Yeah, I was just curious if that happened with a lot of these.
But I also think they could very easily pull it off and let, the only thing stand is the 10 signatures. Don't put it on both ways, just pull it off. And say there's a petition for 10 people, how does it read? Does it read that we support Article 11, or does it say, does it all written out? Because if it's not written out, it's not valid. They could have just pulled the ballot question and said no. I mean, the warrant article. Just like they could have pulled for the second time the wetlands bylaw changes, because they did it 2 years ago. They came forward and they said no.
They did it last year, too.
Oh, they pulled it last year, or then maybe it was last year they pulled it. I mean, I know they did it once at least.
Mhm.
But when you have a 200 foot, you know, look at all the property that's within 200 feet,
It's like everything.
just pretty much. It's a long ways.
Do you want me to stick my head in there and see if they're,
It'd be great if we could get a little of this information. I would hope she would just stick her head in here, where, you know, she knows the meeting, but
Right.
if she isn't, and I can't believe they're gonna make their agenda time. They never do, so. But when I came in, there was nobody sitting in there, so there's no one taking up their time. So, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but that's all the stuff I know of. And there's, what else is there? And what are they gonna wanna bring forward next year?
Right.
What are just the regular health insurance and all the other numbers gonna go up for just
They could go up-
everyday
They
inflation?
could go up a huge amount. They really could.
We have to come up with 400, 100, and another 150. 650 every year going forward. Just
And if it's not just for the schools, or it's not just for one thing,
it's
people
accurate.
people in town, you know, you're gonna have separate overrides to fund the operating budget. They're not gonna be at all happy about that.
No.
And no matter what, the school had to overspend so many accounts this year for repairs,
And everything.
for snow removal. And they're basically looking at the high school like it's already defeated, it's already done, you know, they don't repair stuff because they don't have the money. They've told, different buildings have told the staff, well, you can't take a day off, we don't have sub money. But they have a sub in there if you're sick. But, you know, if somebody has a request to go to something that's been planned since last year, some kind of professional development day or meeting, they can't go. You can, you know, you can do it without pay, but you can't go otherwise. So, I mean, it's just, it's a mess. And I'm not against most all of this stuff, but we gotta be fiscally responsible.
That's
We're
right.
not being that this year.
The difficulty is the strategy to be heard is going to take a lot of figuring beforehand. We don't have time to do that because there will be,
That's why we have to vote no on something, and then we have a voice.
right, but all the other things that get the attention at town meeting,
Mm-hmm.
all the CPA articles and things like that, and they're gonna have their people in the audience.
Sure they are.
And they're just gonna move forward on other articles.
Right. Because those things aren't sexy and glamorous. And people sitting there may not have the brain power to grasp the things that you say. So they have to be delivered in very concise layman's terms that also pull on the heartstrings.
Well, that's why I want exact figures from Denise, so that we can speak out of, you know, say, well, it looks like it's gonna go up this much, or it looks like we won't even mention the schools, because we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But every indication is that the number of accepted students this coming year at Whittier is 25 freshmen, and there's only 12 graduating from Groveland. Groveland has the second, as far as towns and cities, we have the second largest Whittier population
Wow, that's
behind
awesome.
Haverhill. And it started for lots of reasons. It started when people realized that, you know, my kid needs a trade, they need some skills. They're not that great a student,
Right.
and college really isn't for them.
Yeah.
Or that they need free sports, you know, so they get a chance to pay, because
They're talking about a couple of things, and then we're gonna go over there and talk to them, I guess.
Okay.
With Denise, and we're gonna ask the questions.
Okay, great.
We also tabled number 12, which was the revolving fund for VZ Park.
And I didn't, no,
So that
I
was
did not
12, that must have
follow
been
up to get the
9/13.
information on that. I got swept downstream, I think it was
Line
the 13th.
13, right? I think.
Yeah, 12 was
So-
about, we were asking about the books again, on that, to see if, what was the
Yeah.
deal with VC, if,
Yeah,
and maybe Denise would have the answer.
I don't, my memory isn't good about saying, oh, they didn't ask for this much before, but,
This has, the other budget that I pointed to had 80, was there
well, that was a number that I thought I remembered, but.
80? So another increase of 10.
Okay, so that's the other question.
And was that it?
Okay, guys, it's 13:01.
Yeah, we're gonna have cross-contamination going on here momentarily.
They're gonna move to the selectmen.
Okay.
So when they move to the selectmen, I'll take planning board.
Okay, and I'll go over there.
You go over there, take the selectmen.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like we table 15 as well, maybe, for the school summer program revolving fund.
Because we
Why
wanted
would
the
we have
books on
done
that too.
We're asking about the books.
Yeah, Bill O'Neill wanted the books on
He's not here, let's take a vote. Sorry. Well, it would be nice to know what the revenue was last year and what the expenses were last
it.
year.
Right.
That's all we need to know.
That's all we need to know.
Yeah, that's the tough part about these things, it's just like a blank number and it really doesn't show anything,
Yeah.
you know? We don't see what's going
Well,
on.
Bill's concerns were that he had heard and he vocalized it, that that money wasn't being spent on the rec program,
Right,
which,
well, my understanding was it just took care of itself, pretty much, right?
that's right,
Yeah,
it's a
that's what
revolving account.
I thought it just,
And they just need authorization to do it another year.
right,
So some years there's probably money left, and there's some years that, well, there has to be money left, because they don't have any other way of funding it.
right, right. Pretty much pays for itself.
But I just know all the parents of all those kids that go there, either whether it's for a wonderful, joining with other kids and having a great summertime, or whether it's a good babysitting for the parents, which it is for some.
Right,
It's well-spent money, and I've never heard a negative word. My kid, well, both my kids went 1 year, and then my daughter went a couple more years.
yeah, I thought it was
And-
working well,
Yeah,
that's what I
I thought it
Yeah.
was.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we should ask.
Yeah,
If
we
you
can
give
ask
us
the
those
question,
numbers.
I don't think there's a problem with the program and the way it just takes care of itself, it's just a question of what's going on with the money, is it all staying in there and taking care of that or not?
I'd like to ask the selectmen if they know whether, in fact, that the DPW actually mows Washington Park. Bobby said they do. Bill
Right.
said they don't.
Right,
It's-
I heard that too, that was the big
I've
argument
heard-
last time, but I guess what they did is they came down, they mowed it, and then there was one spot that instead of weed whacking, they sprayed weed kill and killed everything. Is what the statement was that was made, I don't know, I have no idea. I
What,
have
along
no-
the fence or something?
Along the fence instead of doing the weed, and then they just,
You know how hard it is on chain link fence to weed whack both sides of a fence? When the other sides have to go onto the other property, it's hard. But,
you keep on restringing a lot, I know that, when you're doing that stuff.
yeah,
You have to keep on putting new string on it, it's a pain in the neck.
whereas the, shout it out or whatever they're using,
Yeah,
shout it out, weed be gone.
we'd be
Shout it
gone.
out goes in the laundry, right? Yeah.
That's it,
But weed be gone, or brush be gone, or
right. So you
little
wanna
leaf be
leave,
gone.
you wanna leave this stuff here, and we'll go in there, and we'll go move into the next, and
So
we
do
can
we
ask
have-
some questions.
So somebody made a note of which ones we're asking them about, or maybe you know.
I have,
I have
notes
some
here.
notes,
Just
yeah.
cue right in there, because,
I have an hour and 14 minutes in my battery.
okay.
This won't take